Gorakruganya Ganagotra Goloruharam Goranga Gudatama Gopyara Kolpa Briksham Gopala Gada Ratidam Yati Singha Gora Govinda Deshi Kavadam Satatam Namani Uttama Adama Kichuna Bachila Jachiya Dile Kakola Kahe Premananda Hemona Goranga Hridaya Dariya Bola Bhaja Goranga Kaha Goranga Laha Gorangera Namure Jai Jana Goranga Bhaje Se Hoyamara Prana Re Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Yashaiva Parambuja Bhakti Labhya Prema-bhakti-candrika Parama-pumarta Tasmai Jagan-mangala-mangalaya Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Madgavirapi Gopala Sri Kriyat Krishna Madgavirapi Gopala Sri Kriyat Apihankani. Brain's not working today. Tadaiva Sampaya Pitva Rishayusta Priya Janaha Shri Krishna Krishna Chaitanya Sasanatana Rupaka Gopala Raghunatha Abdaha Brajabala Bapahimam Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyeva cha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Brinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Shri Krishna Nama Amrita Bhai Shivatra Chandra Prabhadvasta Tamo Buraya Gauranga Deva Anucharaya Namo Namah Shri Narotamaya. Again and again I offer my obeisances unto Srila Narottam Das Thakur. He's indeed a true follower of Lord Gauranga Deva. The nectarian shower of the holy name of Krishna radiating from the moon of his mouth destroys the darkness of ignorance. So we've been reading from Prema-bhakti-candrika of Srila Narottam Das Thakur. And in the very beginning, he has some beautiful verses, Shri Guru Charana Padma, speaking about Guru and glorifying Rupa and Sanatana Goswamis and the Vaishnavas, and he speaks about different obstacles in bhakti. And then he begins to speak about the goal of bhakti. In the fifth song, which is called Raganuga Bhakti Riti, he speaks about what is the goal of my bhajan. And so let's look at the last verse. I spoke on the wrong verse last session. Something I'll do real quick. Let me just put this on the board. This is the last verse. Yugala Charana Sevi Nirantara Bhavi Anuragi Taki Bashadoi Sadane Bhavi Bajaha Siddhadehe Pabataha Raga Patira Ese Upai. I will constantly desire to serve the lotus feet of Radha and Krishna with loving attachment. Whatever I contemplate during the practice of devotional service will certainly be achieved upon perfection in a spiritual body. This is a method on the path of attachment. So we had, I think, 12 sessions about this verse, the Yugala Charana Sevi, speaking about Siddhadeha and what that is, because this verse from Narottam Das Thakur is one of the primary pramanas that some Vaishnavas use to insist that Siddha Pranali is the real tradition of Gaudiya Vaishnavas. And we examined that from so many different perspectives and came to the very obvious conclusion that Harinama, Harinama, Harinama Eva Kevam, that it's the holy name, which is the only process in this age of Kali. And some Vaishnavas, like Bhaktivinoda Thakur and some others, they practice Siddha Deha or Siddha Pranali. But our process, following Srila Raghunath Das Goswami, is the internal process of taking shelter of the holy name. So today's verse comes right after that. And let's look at this. Sadane je dana chai, siddha dehe taha pai, pakva pakva matra se bichar. Pakile se prema bhakti apakatve sadhana riti, bhakati lakshana tattvasar. Whatever I aspire as a practitioner in my sadhana, I will surely receive in my spiritual body. It is only a consideration of immaturity or maturity. In the immature stage, it's called sadhana bhakti, or regulated devotional service. In the mature stage, it's called prema bhakti, or loving devotional service. This is the essence and truth of Sudha Bhakti. Bhakti Lakshana Tattva Sar. This is the sar, the essence of Bhakti Lakshana, the different symptoms and characteristics of Bhakti. So it's a very important subject. There's many, many verses speaking about this kind of point. The verse here is saying, Sadhana jedhana chai siddhadehe tahapai, that whatever I practice, whatever treasure I have, jedhana, in my sadhana, and later Narottam Das Thakur at the end of Prema-bhakti-candrika, he explains that dhana, or that treasure, as being something which is very confidential, something that we don't share with everyone. And we wrote some article about that not so long ago and had a Bindu magazine also about it, which I shared both with all of you. So in my practice, I'll get what's going to happen to me in my Siddha Deha. So this is spoken about in many places in our literatures, in the Bhagavad Gita, in the prayers of Kunti Devi. Kunti Devi, in the 8th chapter, text 42, she gives this famous verse, Tvaime nunavishaya matu madhupate sakrid ratam udvahatad ada gange vogam udanvati. O Lord of Madhu, as a Ganga forever flows to the ocean without hindrance, let my attraction be constantly drawn into you without being diverted to anyone else. So this is the nature of bhakti. Bhakti by nature means focus. It's not just something that we do in a mechanical, blind way. And as we spoke extensively in our last few sessions, the Patanjali Yoga Sutras begin with this kind of definition, Yogaschitta Vritti Nirodha, that this is the definition of yoga. It means chitti vritti nirodha, that means to control the mind. And as we spoke elaborately, I'm just touching on looking back a little bit, in the Yoga Sutras, Vyasadeva gives us, Patanjali gives us, and there's a commentary by someone named Vyasadeva. I don't know if it's our Vyasadeva or who, but it says, Vyadastanya Sangsaya Pramada Lasha. It gives 9 different aspects of inattention. And he says that these distractions are accompanied then, dukkha, dharmanasya, by lamentation, dukkha, dharmanasya, by despondency, etc. One of them is irregular breathing. So this is one of the points in this verse today, is that we have to be focused. And Narottam Das Thakur, so he's speaking about what is Raganuga Bhakti Ritti, that's the song, is giving us a glimpse into what is Raganuga Bhakti. And this is something which should be understood by everyone. Nice to see you, Leo Purushottam. I'm glad you're able to make it today. But it means being completely focused. And this is the same point that Krishna makes in the Bhagavad Gita. Vyavasyatmika buddhi ekeha kuru nandana bahusaka hinantascha buddhaya vyavisainam. That if you want to be on this path of bhakti is a one-pointed path. And I'd like to look at that verse in purport by Srila Prabhupada a little bit in a few minutes. But another meaning in this verse is that bhakti comes from bhakti. Sadhana je dhana chai siddha dehi tahapai. That from my sadhana will come my siddha. In the Bhagavatam 11.331, it said, Bhakti sanjataya bhaktya. That bhakti comes from bhakti. There's a beautiful purport in the third canto of the Bhagavatam, in the teachings of Lord Kapila Dev, chapter 25, text 29, which I want to read you just a few sentences from Srila Prabhupada's purport of that. He says another word in this verse, Bhagavad Bhanaha, is very significant. Bhana means arrow. The Bhakti Yoga system is just like an arrow aiming up to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Bhakti Yoga system never urges one towards the impersonal Brahman effulgence or to the point of Paramatma realization. This bhana, or arrow, is so sharp and swift that it goes directly to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, penetrating the regions of impersonal Brahman and localized Paramatma. So in this verse in Prema-bhakti-candrika, Narottam Das Thakur is telling us that we have to be focused on our sadhana. We have to have some desire, and whatever desire that we're having, that dana, that treasure in our heart, that will manifest in our siddha deha. In other words, the bhakti comes from bhakti. In other words, that there's no difference between the name of Krishna and Krishna himself. Rupa Goswami in his Prajavali, he says, Tanme sadhyam sadhanam jivanam cha. That he's speaking about the holy name. He says that the holy name is my life, it's my jivanam, but it's sadhya jivana. It's the goal of my life. And it's sadhana jivana. It's a means I'm going to practice to obtain the goal of my life. So Prabhupada in his purport in the 25th chapter, the third canto, Teachings of Lord Kapila Dev, he speaks about this bana, or this arrow. So in Gora Lila, we see that the arrow, the archer, and the target become one. And this is a point indirectly that Narottam Das Thakur is also pointing out here too. It's not just that we do sadhana in a dull-minded kind of mechanical way, but there's a connection, and there's no difference. In Bhakti Sanjayata Bhakti, bhakti comes from bhakti. Bhakti is bhakti. Bhakti is absolute, but it manifests in different ways. And the arrow of bhakti, the archer of the bhakti, and the target become one in Gora Lila. Because in Gora Bhakti, it doesn't just mean bhakti to Gora, but it means the bhakti that Gauranga Mahaprabhu has and that he gives. So bhakti sanjataya bhakti. Bhakti comes from bhakti. And we're just speaking this verse is 11.331, and we often quote the prior verse to it. And we should see the context of that. Parasprana katanam pavanam bhagavad yasaha mito ratir mitas tustir nibrita mita atmanaha. That's 11.330. And that we should learn how to associate with devotees by coming together with them to hear Krishna Katha. So then the next verse describes Bhakti Sanjataya Bhaktya. So these two verses go together. Bhakti comes from Bhakti, and Bhakti in particular comes when we're hearing and chanting. This is such an important thing. Some of you heard the class we gave a few days ago in Budapest to the youth group there. And toward the end of the class, we were stressing this point, which we often speak about, from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, where he says that just as you can't separate Krishna from Radha, you also can't separate the holy name from Krishna Katha. And Krishna Katha represents Srimati Radharani, and Krishna Nam represents Krishna. So it's not enough just to have Krishna, nor is it enough just to have Radharani. If you only have Radharani, but you're not worshiping Krishna, then you don't really have the mercy of Radharani. She's not happy with you. And on the other hand, if you only have Krishna, but you don't have Radharani, then how can you approach Krishna? It's not possible. So similarly, in this age, the Krishna, he manifests himself in the holy name. And then his expansion is Krishna Katha. And the two go together. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta says we should always have the two together. And we were commenting how Parasparana Kathanam Pavanam Bhagavadyasa, how we should learn to associate with devotees by having Krishna Katha. And if we have Krishna Katha together regularly, as we're trying to do here, then we'll make a sangha. It'll create community. And we were commenting further how here in Hungary, we see there's been such a wonderful community, and how we were mentioning how Krishna Kum was one of the first devotees here. Yeah, I think she was I don't know, the 10th or 20th devotee made in Hungary. And she was telling me many times how in the very early days, especially, it was so sweet and so intimate. And Srila Shiva Ramaraj was giving classes on different books of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and Madhuri Kadambani and different things. And that katha brought everyone together. And that's the basis of the yatra, that community that's created. When we have Krishna katha and we regularly hear and chant together, it takes away any shokamoya bhayapaha. The Bhagavatam, the first canto, describes that any fear, lamentation, or illusion, they're dispelled. Well, oftentimes in a community, there's fear, lamentation, and illusion. We're afraid of this other person. We don't understand their motivation. Are they just trying to control me? Are they just some crazy kind of Hitler manager kind of person or something? So we have that fear. Or we think this person's a troublemaker. This Orsi, she's like really a big troublemaker. And so we have a fear. But if we have this paraspara anukatanam, this harikatha, which is back and forth, and we discuss, and we definitely know that Mangal's a troublemaker. But if we have this back and forth discussions, then we can understand the heart of the devotees. And we understand that Mangal Prabhu, he doesn't have a shaved head, but he's actually not such a bad guy. And he has some motivation. And we see, oh, the reason why he does this and this, when there's some back and forth and some discussion. So that shoka, that lamentation goes away, the bhaya goes away, the fear of the other person. Shoka moha, fear, lamentation, and illusion. Any illusion that we have about the sangha, that maybe some people think the reason I'm coming here is to do business or to get a position in a society and further myself in a social way. But that illusion goes away when we come together and we hear regular Krishna Katha. No, our purpose is to get Krishna prema. And that's what Narottam Das Thakur is focusing so much on in this verse today, that sadhana jedhana chai siddhadehi tahapai. We have to be focused on what is our goal. If we're not constantly focused on what is our goal, then we're not really practicing bhakti. We're doing some kind of external thing. It's still bhakti in the sense that the activities of bhakti are there, and it'll give some result, but it'll take a long, long time. So we should hear together, and that by hearing together, by having katha together, that creates sangha. It's such an important thing. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada, he said every day the devotees should come together and have Bhagavatam. Why is that so important? We can come together and have kirtan. That's also important. But we want to hear Srimati Radharani. We want the mercy of Radharani, which is Krishna Katha. And that Krishna Katha will help us to associate with each other. It'll help us to work out the shoka moha bhayapaha, this fear, lamentation, and illusion. It'll bring together devotees. And we see if we don't do that, even if we're doing kirtan, it's not enough just to have Krishna without Radharani. Even if we're doing kirtan, it's wonderful, we purify our hearts and things, but what is the motivation of our kirtan? And we spoke something about that in Budapest also, that there may be so many motivations. Someone's coming to the kirtan because they heard this prasadam afterwards. So their motivation is to get something nice to eat. Someone else is coming because, man, it's really good music. That's okay to get something to eat or a motivation for nice music. Someone else is coming because there's some beautiful girls who come, or there's some nice guys and I'm looking for a husband. Or there's so many different motivations we may have in our kirtan. If we're only doing kirtan by itself, and therefore there should be kirtan and katha and then kirtan again. That's our tradition. First kirtan, then katha, and then kirtan again. Because if you don't do that, then what is the motivation in your kirtan? And so it's very, very important that the devotees we associate together by hearing Krishna katha. Otherwise, it's very, very difficult to come on the same page. And from my Guru Maharaj, you used to say that if you don't do any other sadhana, every day you should hear Srimad Bhagavatam. And as we commented also in Budapest, that someone may say that, oh, that's more important than my japa. He said, no, your japa is in a different category. He said, better that you die than don't finish your 16 rounds. But as far as sadhana goes, it's so important that we come together and that we hear. And this verse is also indicating indirectly that sadhana jedana chai siddha dehi tahapai. It's indicating the sadhana, the practice, and then it's indicating the goal, which also is very similar to this verse we just cited from Rupa Goswami, Tame sadhyan sadhanam jivanam cha. And it's Pajavali, Rupa Goswami, he says that this holy name, it's the goal of my life, it's the means by which to attain the goal of my life, it is my life, it's my everything. All three things at the same time. And you can't say that in impersonal sadhana. You can't say that about any other process of karma or gyan. In those practices, when you achieve perfection, then you stop performing your sadhana. You stop performing your karma, you start performing your gyan, because now I've achieved what I want. But in bhakti, the practice that we're doing now is also the practice at the end. And this is also indicated again in another beautiful verse in the 25th chapter of the third canto, very important chapter. It's nice, Leela Purushottam Purvai, that I was appreciating that for the Czech retreat, you're giving some verses for the Bhagavatam classes from that chapter. Very famous verse. Satam prasangam mamavirya samvido bhavanti hritkarna rasayana katata josna dasa pavarga vartmani shraddha ratir bhaktir anukramishyati. So this word anukrama is there, which is a similar word again to what Narottam Das Thakur is saying in this verse of Prema-bhakti-candrika today. There's a sequence. There's a particular order. And it begins with satam prasangam. To associate, Prabhupada translates it with pure devotees. Now, in his Sa'artha Bharshani commentary, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur raises a beautiful question. This satam prasanga basically is saying satsanga. He raises a question, a grammatical question. What is the necessity of the prefix pra in front of the word sangha? Satam sangha, Prabhupada, he says, in association of pure devotees. That's satsanga. So what is the necessity of the prefix pra before the word anga? And Vishwanath explains that Krishna is saying here, mama virya samvido, that satam prasanga means mama virya samvido, hearing about Krishna, directly about Krishna. So he says that Vishwanath explains that satsanga means to be honest. It means to go to Mangalartik. It means to chant your japa. It means to do make your promises, follow for regulated principles, etc. But that by itself is not rasayana kata. It's not the thing which is going to give you life. But the thing which gives us life is a mama virya samvido, the topics directly about Krishna. And when we recite those things, Josnad Asapavarga Vartmani, then quickly we progress. By cultivating that, we progress in the path of liberation. Or as Narottam is saying in the day's verse, that from that sadhana that we do, I'll achieve that siddha deha. And then Kapila Dev here in this verse in the third canto says, Shraddha Ratir Bhaktir Anukramishati. There's a nukrama, there's a sequence from faith to having some attraction to bhakti. And Vishwanath, again, in his commentary, he says that this means, another meaning is that from Vaidhi Bhakti, I'll come to Bhav Bhakti. And then from Bhav Bhakti, I'll come to Prema Bhakti. And so this is something also which Narottam is indicating in this verse from Prema-bhakti-candrika today, that sadhana jedana chai siddhadehi tahapai, that what I practice is what I'm going to get in the end. So bhakti is bhakti. In one sense, there's bhakti is always bhakti, but there's different stages of it. There's different anukramas to it. And those are Vaidhi Bhakti in practice, then Bhav Bhakti when some spontaneous attraction arises, and Prema Bhakti, which is the goal. So to get that, we have to be focused. And this is the point which Narottam is making in this verse today. And this is the point of the Yoga Sutras. This is the point of the Bhagavad Gita. Now let's look at this famous verse from the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Vyavasayatmika Buddhi. Srila Prabhupada gives a wonderful purport. Sometimes devotees, they think, oh, Bhagavad Gita, this is just ABC, or what Srila Prabhupada gave is ABC, but Prabhupada gave some very, very deep things. So Krishna is saying here in the second chapter, Vyavasayatmika Buddhi, that our intelligence has to be Vyavasayatmika, it has to be fixed. Ekeha, one-pointed. Kurunandana, my dear Arjun, rather, and alternatively, bahusaka hinantascha, those persons whose consciousness or bahusaka is all over the place, buddhayo vyavasayanam. They're not avisayanam, they're not really Krishna conscious. Their resolution is many branched. So Narottam Das Thakur is making this point today that we should be fixed. We have to be fixed in one point. Let's look at Srila Prabhupada's purport in the Bhagavad Gita here. A strong faith that by Krishna consciousness, one will be elevated to the highest perfection of life is called Vyavasayatmika intelligence. The Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya 2262 states, Shraddha Sabbe Vishwaskahe, Sudhadanishwai Krishna Bhakti, Kwaile Saiva Karma Krita Hoy. This is, Prabhupada doesn't give a direct definition, a translation for the verse here. He just says, faith means unflinching trust in something sublime. Beautiful definition. This is a definition of faith. But the verse directly describes Shraddha Sabbe. This is what faith is. Vishvaskahi Sudhadanishwai, to be very firmly convinced that Krishna Bhakti Kwali Sarva Karma Krita Hoy, that Krishna Bhakti will take care of everything. I don't have to do anything else. As we posted recently on Facebook, that Gaudiya Vaishnavism is not the anti-party or the anti-party. Sometimes devotees have that idea that Krishna consciousness means that we have enemies and we have to smash people. And that's the attitude, frankly, of neophyte persons. We find that amongst neophyte religionists like in Islam with their jihad, or in certain branches of Christianity where they want to go and they want to drive out the devil, and anything other than our Christianity is of the devil. But that's not bhakti. Bhakti is a positive alternative. Bhakti David asked us a question in Budapest after the class, and he said that sometimes I find myself criticizing, and what can I do to give up that criticism? And I replied to him that why are you criticizing? You're criticizing because you don't have faith in bhakti. You get right down to it. That's the bottom line. If you have faith in bhakti, really you have faith, and you see there's some problem going on. And come on, seriously, there's always going to be problems in the temple, in the marriage, in the family, in the community. There's always going to be some problems there. But if you have faith in bhakti, then you're always going to stress the bhakti solution. And if you see that people are practicing bhakti, but they have some problems, then you're peaceful. The person's in the hospital. The person may be dirty, but he's standing in the shower. As long as he stays in the shower, as long as he's in the hospital, he's going to get cured from his disease. So we criticize because we don't have faith in bhakti. We have faith in my empirical ability to see what's right and what's wrong. We have faith in politics, or maybe we have faith in money solutions. There's so many different solutions according to our mode of nature. But Krishna's saying in the Gita, Vyavasayatmika buddhi ekeha kuru nandana, we should be fixed that bhakti is the solution for everything. Bhakti sanjata yad bhakti. Bhakti comes from bhakti. As Srila Prabhupada commented, we quoted in our Facebook post, that we're not interested in promoting vegetarianism because vegetarianism doesn't lead to bhakti. We're vegetarian. And Prabhupada also commented in one of the statements we put in there that we are not against abortion. So of course we're against abortion. We don't practice it. We don't agree with that. But that's not our platform, that we're going and we're marching in the street against abortion. We're pro-bhakti, and then everything else will follow. And there's so many problems in the world today. There's so many different solutions. But if those solutions don't have bhakti in the essence, then how is it going to change the consciousness of people? You may have good solutions, and sometimes we do need to have monetary solutions, management solutions. They are solutions, psychiatric solutions. Those are solutions. And it's not that devotees don't take advantage of those solutions or don't employ them, but we don't see them as absolute. And if if they're not accompanied along with bhakti, then what's going to be the value of it? There's another verse, in the 11th canto of the Bhagavatam. Krishna Kun's not here, I don't think today, she'd remind me, that describes that whatever solutions we try to take shelter of, if bhakti is not involved in, then those solutions just become more problems. We see that there's some starvation going on in Bangladesh, or this place or that place. And yeah, Madhupati Prabhu's comment, the Middle East hostilities are a perfect example of bhakti being the only solution. There's no other solution. So we think that we'll give money to Gaza and people, but then the Hamas people just come in and take the money. Or we'll give weapons to Israel, but then again, some people just take some of the money for the weapons and it's misused. It doesn't change people's consciousness. We need a solution that's going to change people's consciousness. And Narottam Das Thakur is indicating in this verse today that we have to be fixed on that, not just that externally I'm dressed like a Hare Krishna devotee. I get up at this time, I do this thing and that thing externally. I chant 16 rounds of this thing externally. We have to be focused on what is our goal, what is our process. So let's go on with even Prabhupada's purport here. Prabhupada translates this verse, faith means unflinching trust in something sublime. That's real faith. When one is engaged in the duties of Krishna consciousness, he need not act in relationship to the material world with obligations to family traditions, humanity, or nationality. Fruitive activities are the engagements of one's reactions from past good or bad deeds. When one is awake in Krishna consciousness, he need no longer endeavor for good results in his activities. When one is situated in Krishna consciousness, all activities are on the absolute plane, for they're no longer subjected to dualities like good and bad. This purport of Srila Prabhupada is like a perfect purport also to this verse today from Narottam Das Thakur. The highest perfection of Krishna consciousness is renunciation of the material conception of life. This state is automatically achieved by progressive Krishna consciousness. The resolute purpose of a person in Krishna consciousness is based on knowledge. Vasudeva Savamiti Samahatma Sudurlabha. A person in Krishna consciousness is a rare good soul who knows perfectly that Vasudeva Krishna is the root of all manifested causes. There's a conversation Srila Prabhupada had in Germany once with a scholarly Buddhist. And this Buddhist was really a nice guy. He was very learned, and he came and he was speaking with Srila Prabhupada, and he began to say something which is something we appreciate in many ways. He said that it's not enough just to do something externally Knowledge is not enough, but what we want is something in the heart. And I was very surprised listening to that conversation, how strongly and vehemently Srila Prabhupada disagreed with him. He's saying something which actually Prabhupada said many times. It's not enough just to be external and do something mechanical. But Prabhupada disagreed. And why did Prabhupada disagree? Prabhupada's speaking to a certain person in a certain place and time, and he's a perfect preacher. And Prabhupada began stressing, he says, no, knowledge has to be there. And it's not that we just want some mechanical knowledge. It's not that if someone gets the best grade in the Bhakti Shastri course, that they're going to become automatically a Prema-bhakti. We want that there's some difference between Gyan and Vigyan, but that Vigyan comes from some Gyan. There has to be some kind of knowledge. And so that there's also knowledge in Bhakti, and therefore in his commentary on the Anyabhilasita Shunyam verse, Srila Jiva Goswami in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.1.11, Jiva Goswami, he says that when Rupa Goswami says, Anyabhilasita Shunyam Jnana Karmadi Anabritam, that there should be no Anyabhilas, and that the Gyan and Karma should be anabritam, it shouldn't cover Bhakti. Jiva Goswami explains that there's three types of Gyan: Tat Padartha Gyan, Tvam Padartha Gyan, and Jiva Brahma Aikya Gyan. Knowledge about myself as a soul, knowledge about the Lord, and knowledge of the oneness of the two. Now, that knowledge of the oneness is detrimental to Bhakti. But knowledge about the soul or knowledge about the Lord can be beneficial. He says it's not that Bhakti is dependent on it, because Bhakti is Sunjataya Bhakti. Bhakti comes from Bhakti. Even if you don't study Bhakti Shastri, if you chant the holy name, you'll get Bhakti, even if you don't read the books. But the books help us. They can help us in this, but Jnana Karma Anabritam. Anabritam means that it shouldn't cover Bhakti. And they may cover Bhakti in several different ways. Vishwanath explains in his commentary on that verse, that it may cover Bhakti, that you think this is the goal, that to have this Gyan, this knowledge about the Bhakti Shastris, that's the goal. Or it may be covered Jnana Karma. Karma means Vanashram Dharma. It may be covered that I think that to become rightly situated in Vanashram Dharma, or to get the highest position in Vanashram Dharma of a Brahmin or a sannyasi, that's the goal. Then that's covering Bhakti. It's not the goal. Or it may cover Bhakti in the sense that you think that unless I have this Gyan, I can't get Bhakti. Or unless I practice Vanashram, I can't get Bhakti. It's also covering Bhakti. So Bhakti is everything. Right? So let's go on with this purport. Beautiful purport. Service in Krishna consciousness is, however, best practice under the able guidance of a spiritual master who is a bona fide representative of Krishna, who knows the nature of the student and who can guide him to act in Krishna consciousness. So Bhakti Sanjataya Bhakti, Bhakti comes from Bhakti, but what does that mean? That's 11.331, 11.330, the previous verse in 11th canto, says Parasparana Pavanam, that we should come together with the devotees and practice this paraspara, this back and forth. That means by hearing from Guru. That means hearing Krishna Katha from someone who understands us, who knows our heart, and can give us some guidance. As such, to be well-versed in Krishna consciousness, one has to act firmly and obey the representative of Krishna, and one should accept the instruction of a bona fide spiritual master as one's mission in life. Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur instructs us in his famous prayers for the spiritual master as follows: Yasya prasadad bhagavat prasado, yasya prasadan nagati katopi, jayan stuvam stasya yashastri sanjam bande guru shri charanada vindam. And probably gives a translation for that. The whole process, however, depends on perfect knowledge of the soul beyond the conception of the body, not theoretically. Well, here's a point. Prabhupada is saying not theoretically. He agreed with the Buddhist man. But at the same time, Prabhupada wanted to stress, no, for new people, they have to have some knowledge. It's absolutely required. But ultimately, that knowledge is not theoretical knowledge. It's practical knowledge. When there's no longer a chance for sense gratification manifested in fruitive activities, one who is not firmly fixed in mind is diverted by various types of fruitive activities. So Narottam Das Thakur is teaching us today that we want to understand your Siddha Deha, then we have to understand, we have to be focused in our bhajan, in our bhakti. There's another similar verse in the beautiful verse in the fourth canto of the Bhagavatam. This is the prayers of I wanted to say Dhruva Maharaj. It's not Dhruva Maharaj. Anyway, it's saying there, Yatachadid balahitam pita swayam. He's praying to the Lord that I don't know what I want. I don't know what's good for me and what's bad for me. Therefore, I'm praying to you, just like a father knows what's best for the son, yatacharid bala hitam pitta swayam, just like the father, the pitta knows what's best, the balahita. The balahita means what's good for the son. So also you give me whatever is the best thing for me. So this again is Narottam Das Thakur's point, that we should know, we should be fixed in our sadhana. Later on in Prema-bhakti-candrika, or excuse me, in different places in Prema-bhakti-candrika, Narottam stresses this. I wanted to share with you a few different verses that I like very much from Prema-bhakti-candrika, because Narottam has firm faith in the holy name. Narottam has firm faith in bhakti, and that's what he's teaching us. So in our previous song, in the first stanza of it, he said, Anakata anavyata nahi jena janatata tomara chardani smriti saje abhirata abhikal tuya guna kolakal gai jena satira samaj. That let me avoid that place where there's anakata, anavyata, where there's discussions on mundane topics and things. May I avoid that. Instead, may I associate and chant properly in the society of devotees. Again, in Prema-bhakti-candrika, he describes Sangsara bhajatari kama fansi bandi mari fukara karo haridas koro bhakata sangha prema kata rasaranga tabi hoya vipada vinas. You should know you're being cheated. So many people are angry today. They're angry with the COVID thing. They say there's a conspiracy, Prabhu, and we were being cheated by the government and this and that. Well, we're being cheated, but we're not paying attention to the real cheating that's going on. The government's always trying to cheat you. Everybody's always trying to cheat you. But the real cheating is coming from this whole material world, from the samsara. And how is it plundering? It's a thief is coming, bhajatare kama, with lust. And it's killing me. Fansi bandi mari, I'm being hung by the neck. So what should I do in this case? Fukara. Fukara means to cry out and cry and cry. Fukara karoha haridas. Oh, dear devotee, haridas. You cry out. And what do you cry for? Karoho bhakata sangha. Cry for association with devotees. Associate with devotees. And when you're associating with the devotees, prema kata rasa ranga. Focus on Krishna kata. This is the life of our Sangha. We have to have Krishna Katha. It's good to do Krishna Kirtan. We must do Krishna Kirtan, but you can't separate the Krishna Kirtan from the Krishna Katha. Tabi hoya vipada vinas. And if we do that, then all the problems will go away. But if we don't do that, then there'll be so many problems. There'll be so many politics and so many different things going on in our society. Therefore, Narottam Das Thakur later on, one of my favorite, we recite this every day, this verse. It's such an important verse. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati used to quote this verse quite often. Karmi gyani micha bhakta nahoibi toya anurakta. Nathabi toya anurakta. Don't be attached to the karmis, gyanis, and micha bhaktas, the fruitive workers, the philosophers, and the micha bhaktas are the false devotees. Rather, Shuddha Bhajaniti Koruman. You should do pure bhajan. In other words, if you're attached to the karmis, yeah, those karmis, man, they're just working like a donkey, and you're just talking about the karmis all the time and criticizing them. Or the gyanis, yeah, those philosophers, those mayavadis, this and that. If you're focusing on them, or the micha bhaktas, there's those guys, this person, he cheated, this person abused some devotees, he did this and that. Don't be attached to them. If you're attached to them, it means you're not doing pure bhajan. Your mind is going in some other place. Kodoman, we should engage our mind. How should we engage our mind? Braja Janara Mata. I want to know what is the opinion of the Brijbasis. Tahi habe anugata e se paramatata done. I want to follow them. I want to be anugatya of the Brijbasis. And this is our everything. We want to be one-pointed. Why did Srila Prabhupada give us Vaishnav dress? That question is there. And some devotees, they say, oh, Prabhu, that's our uniform. And by wearing that dress like that, then people can identify us just like they identify a police officer. Okay, that's all right, but I'm not fully satisfied with that answer. Someone else may say, well, Prabhu, by dressing like that, it's not ostentatious, it's not showy. I'm not acting like a big person. And the dhoti of the sari, it's a simple thing. That's okay also, but I'm also not satisfied with that. The best answer that I've ever heard is that we wear dhotis and saris because we want to follow the residents of Vrindavan. We go to Vrindavan every year. Prabhupada said we should, once a year, you should go to Vrindavan. And we go to Vrindavan, how do the people dress? They're dressed in saris and dhotis. It's not that we're so attached to the particular dress code or something. And Prabhupada said that you can wear a suit and tie, but you should always wear tilak. It's not that we're attached to a particular dress so much, but we do that because it reminds us of the Brijbasis. Braja Jani Raje Mata Tahi Habi Anugat, and we want to follow those Brijbasis. The Brijbasis are very, very simple. They're not running around. They're not the anti-party. They're not thinking that Krishna conscious means bashing people and smashing them to pieces and this and that. Sometimes that's required. But in Brihad Bhagavatamrita, Sanatana Goswami, he explains that one should not push the thorn, the sharp thorn of logic into the soft nature of bhakti. In other words, we don't need all this argument and debate. In the Mahabharata, the famous verses there, what is it? Tarko pratishta, tarko apratishta. That argument or debate is apratishta. It doesn't solve anything. We have a positive solution. And this is what Narottam Das Thakur is stressing. Now, sometimes as preachers, we have to cut. And Srila Prabhupada did that so often. He would speak about vegetarianism to the Christians, different persons, but that's not the Krishna conscious movement. It's not just that we're a movement to go out and argue with Christians and chastise them for not being vegetarian, or to argue with people against abortion. That's not the Krishna conscious movement. The Krishna conscious movement means we focus on bhakti. And this is the point that Narottam Das Thakur is making in this verse that he said, Jedana chai siddha dehi tahapai. Let me focus on my goal when I'm doing my sadhana. There's a story in the Bhaktamala of Navadas. Navadas, we often quote this book. Navadas was Gaudiya Vaishnava. Seems like he's in the line of Gopal Bhatta Goswami. And he wrote this book, Bhaktamala. There's a number of different Bhaktamalas. It's kind of a genre of literature. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur published this particular book and quotes it in his autobiography, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta. I discovered in one article in Sajjana Toshini, he recommends that for Bhakti Shastri, that this be one of the books that are studied. It's a little, sometimes not as pure as we read in Chaitanya Charitamrita, but still there's many beautiful stories in it. And there's a story of a lady devotee who was a princess. Her name was Uma Bhattayani. And Uma Bhattayani, she was a daughter of the great king, and she was married to the king of Jodhpur in like 1651. And she was very much inclined to bhakti, but she was unhappy because she saw that her husband didn't have faith in bhakti, and she was adverse to it. So seeing that, she left her husband. and she returned to her father's house. That's a pretty radical thing for someone in Vedic culture to do, especially if someone is a princess, a lady, and just leaving her husband. And then later on, her husband, she preached to him indirectly, as we often comment. Was it mm, the was it Saint Francis of Assisi commented once? He told his followers that you should preach, and if necessary, you should use words. So this Uma, she by her inclination, just leaving her husband, which is a radical thing for a lady to do, because he's not interested in bhakti, that touched her husband's heart. He saw, wow, what am I doing? This lady, she's really serious. So impressed by her focus on bhakti, he sent a messenger to go there and try to pacify her. And when Uma heard that we won't, your husband's not going to stop your bhakti or anything, you please come, we sent a palanquin for you, you come back to your husband. And so she agreed. She went back to her husband. But when she got there, shortly after, she decided, no, this is not good. I forget it. I don't want this. She left. And she didn't go back to her father's house. She didn't go to her husband's house. Instead, she went to a secluded place to do her bhajan. And she cut off all of her relationships with everyone in the material world and just associated with saintly persons. This is Uma, very similar to Raghunath Das Goswami. When he left home, he went to Jagannath Puri, and initially he was accepting money from his father to serve Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But after some time, he felt like this is a business of a prostitute. I don't like this. So he would stand outside. He would go to the Jagannath Mandir, and when they were giving charity to the beggars, the old prasadam, he would take some of that, and that's how he'd maintain himself. But then he thought, that's not good either. I'm dependent on some person, so let me just depend on the Lord. And so then he would stand in front of the Jagannath Mandir, and if someone came along and felt sorry for him and gave him some prasadam, he would accept it. And if nobody gave him anything, then he would just starve for that day. But after some time, he also thought, this is not good either, because now I'm looking at everybody who comes along. Maybe he's going to give me something, maybe he won't. That's not good either. So then Raghunath Das Goswami decided, I'll just go and take the remnants of the rotten rice that the cows won't eat. And he would wash that with some water, and he was taking that. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was so very, very pleased with him. So this is real faith. This is real focus in bhajan. And this is the mood that Uma, this princess, also had. On one occasion, one devotee asked Uma, he said, you're a wealthy princess, you've got a lot of money and things. Please, I need 2,000 rupees, which is a huge amount of money. That's like tens of thousands of dollars worth of money in today's relative system. Please, my Gurudev, it says, yes, puja program. So I need to have 2,000. So immediately she went. She didn't have any money. She's just doing bhajan now, but she had some gold ornaments. The ladies wear those things, bracelets and nose ring and different things. And she went and sold those gold ornaments and gave him the money. And then that night, Krishna sent her those ornaments again. And when she saw that this amazing thing, the Lord's pleased with me because I'm serving the devotees, then he sends me this wealth again. Her faith became even stronger. On another occasion, a thief approached this Uma, and he was dressed like a devotee. And again, he asked her, the same thing this other fellow asked, can I have your gold ornaments, please? And so she very happily, oh yes, you're a Vaishnava, please take these gold ornaments. And she gave them to him. But as soon as he left town, he became blind. And he understood, wow, I did something really bad. I committed some offense to Uma. And so he went back to her, and he gave the ornaments back, and then his vision was returned. And so then he fell down at her feet and begged for forgiveness, and he became a devotee then. So this is the kind of one-pointed focus that Narottam Das Thakur is speaking about here. We have to be focused. We have to have something in our bhajan. What is the purpose of my bhajan? In the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, there's an interesting verse. I can show this on the board here. And Jiva Goswami's commentary on it. Very interesting verse. Yena Janma Sahasrani, this is from Padma Purana. Yena Janma Sahasrani Vasudeva Nisevataha. Tanmukhi Harinamani Sada Tishtanti Bharata. In the Padma Purana, it said that the names of the Lord remain constant in the mouth of a person who serves Vasudeva for 1,000 births. Now, at this point, you may raise your hand and say, wait a minute, how is it that someone's chanting the holy name for 1,000 births and they don't get liberation? So Jiva Goswami explains very beautifully, Yena janmeti itra jasyapya asya puna janma samukanta moya bhakti vardhanartham padam eshvare chayaiva gyayam. In order to increase the person's eagerness for devotion, the Lord, if someone's really sincere, in other words, sometimes the Lord makes a person take birth again and again and again, even though they're chanting the holy names. This is exactly what Narottam Das Thakur is saying in this verse today. It's not enough, he's implying, that you do bhajan, but you have to have some focus in the bhajan. There has to be some eagerness in our bhajan. Samutkanta maya bhakti. Otherwise, without that samutkanta, without that eagerness, what is the purpose that goes on with it? And I want to finish off with you with a verse and purport from Sanatana Goswami from Brihad Bhagavatamrita. Very, very beautiful verse and purport, which further explains what Narottam is saying. Nam nam tu sankirtanam artivaram megam vina prabhishi chattakanam ratro viyogat swapateya tangi vargasya chakroshana vat pratihi. Like the distressed crying of the Chattaka birds on a cloudless day of the rainy season. So the Chattaka bird is a bird that only takes water from the rain. It doesn't drink from rivers or puddles or anything like that. The Chattaka bird is very, very particular like that. So that Chattaka bird is crying when there's it's a cloudless day. Or the lamenting of a flock of Chakravaki birds who have been parted from their husbands at night. Similarly, the Sankirtan of the Lord's names arises when one is burdened by too much pain. And Sanatana Goswami comments that Nam Sankirtan, in fact, appears only when prema has been enhanced in a special way. Prema enriched with transcendental hankering results in Sankirtan. What is Sankirtan? It means, Sankirtan means complete. Samyak Kirtan, Jiva Goswami defines in Bhakti Sundarbha. And that complete chanting means, when Sanatana Goswami is explaining here, when that prema has been enhanced in a special way. In other words, when someone's crying and crying. To help us understand, the Vaikuntha Dutta is mentioned by way of analogy, the Chattaka and Chakravaki birds. The plaintive call of the Chattakas sounding like Priya, Priya. That's the sound that the Chakravaka bird makes. Priya, Priya. My dear one, resounds on cloudless days of the rainy season. And the lament of the Chakravakis fills the sky when their husbands are absent at night. In such a way, Nam Sankirtan arises when one feels separation from the Lord in pure love of God. That's real Nam Sankirtan. And therefore, again, Rupa Goswami described it, Tame Sadhyan Sadhanam Jivanam Cha. That this holy name, it's my life. It's the goal of my life, and it's the means by which I'll attain the goal of my life. So in such a way, Nam Sankirtan arises when one feels separation from the Lord and pure love of God. The true way of doing Bhagavan Nam Sankirtan is to call out to one's beloved Lord in agony, expressing one's feelings in various sweet songs to attract him. As the philosophical maxim states, Siddhasya Lakshanam Yatsyad Sadhanam Sadakasya Tat, the practitioner and the means of practice should be in accordance with their goal. This is exactly what Narottam Das Thakur is speaking about in our song today, in our stanza today. The practitioner and the means of practice should be in accordance with their goal. We have to constantly keep in mind what is our goal. Srila Prabhupada chastised the devotees who were calling themselves, what is it, the Gopi Bhava Club. And that's a very famous thing in ISKCON. And we know we don't want to do that. We don't want to be artificial. But at the same time, if we don't understand what is our goal, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta at Radhakund 1 year gave one lecture, and he said that our goal is not anartha nibriti. That's not our goal. Our goal is artha prabriti, something positive. That's bhakti. Bhakti sunjataya bhakti. Bhakti comes from bhakti. Bhakti doesn't come from vegetarianism. Bhakti doesn't come by smashing false devotees. Bhakti doesn't come by protesting against abortion. Bhakti comes from bhakti. And when we have faith in that, when we're focused on that, then we'll get that thing. So it's a very big thing. It's not enough just to be a Hare Krishna devotee and dress in a certain way and go to the morning program. And that's okay. I don't mean to discourage anybody. We should do that. There's a beautiful letter from Srila Prabhupada. Let's see. This is a letter he wrote to Satsvarup Maharaj in 1968. I'll show you this. And he said, our relationship is eternal, but if somebody lags behind, so in spite of our eternal relationship, one may not meet the other at the destination. We're all moving together, but if somebody lags behind and not moving together, then you may not meet them at the destination. Just like a flock of birds, although very intimately related, every one of them has to fly in the sky by individual strength. If one is less strong, the other cannot keep him in the sky. That's the law of nature. So long every one of us is strong in Krishna consciousness, there's no doubt. You can fly in the spiritual sky and meet together without failure. Therefore, individual strength is most important. And that individual strength is achieved in the association of devotees. So this is our system. This is another perfect explanation, I think, of Narottam Das Thakur's point. So I'm going to go ahead and stop here. Got a little later than I wanted. If anybody has any reflections or comments or anything, and that includes you, Madhupati Prabhu, thank you for taking part today. For me, having Krishna Katha is such a special thing because you really open your heart up with people. And therefore, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta said in one place, he said that, there's different types of speaking. We can do platform preaching. And every preacher does that sometimes. That's an important thing. Sometimes I gave a class once in front of 14,000 people for about 5 minutes. It was a very short class, a little talk at the Bhakti Sangam in Crimea before Mr. Putin liberated that part of the property for himself. And it went nicely, but I was thinking to myself, everybody was clapping and cheering because they liked the jokes that I made and the shloka and the story and whatever. But I'm thinking, what am I, like a rock star or something? We want to touch people's hearts. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta said, therefore, that platform preaching doesn't touch the heart. But we want to have some intimacy. And therefore, it's nice. Our Bhagavatam class should create that intimacy in the temple. Although sometimes big temples like Mayapur or Los Angeles or New York or something, it's difficult because many devotees are coming and going. Budapest, there's many devotees coming and going, doing different things. It's a little hard, but still it's required because that's how we're going to come together as a group and be successful. But if we only do that and it's too big a group, then sometimes the result's not the same. And therefore we should have our little reading group. Therefore, we often comment that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was going to the Jagannath Mandir 4 times a day, according to Lochan Das Thakur, but he was staying in the Gambhira. He was going to the Jagannath Mandir where there's tens of thousands of people and things, but he's going back every day to the Gambhira with Srup Damodar Goswami and Roy Ramananda. And so that's a lesson for us. We need to have intimate Sangha where we can speak deeper things. We gave this class today to all of you. You're our friends. We shared some different thoughts. Now, honestly speaking, not to be political or say something controversial, but if I were to speak this same topic, the same exact thing that I spoke today in some other different places, some people would get upset with me. And maybe they're even correct, because many of our temples, they're designed to preach to new people. And the subject matters that we were speaking about today are for you guys. They're not for brand new bhaktas and like that. So we should understand and appreciate that, but we need to have something also for each other. So let's go ahead and stop there. Anybody have any reflections, comments, protests, upset about something? Okay, Bhakti and Dorothea.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you very much for this wonderful, I don't want to say class, but it's like Sangha, I would say.
It's a kata. Kata is part of the
Kata,
Sangha.
yes. And I was especially moved by the story of how this Uma
Uma
Mataji,
yeah, you can call her Uma, that's all right.
okay. How she was very focused in the very comfortable home of her husband and also of her father, and also yeah, some other stories of how devotees are very focused. So yeah, especially because when there's like I'm still neophyte, so I'm still learning how to distinguish bhakti from the external things. So yeah, one external thing is that like the preaching of how a woman should be, and in my case, I have been for some time I have been afraid of like moving too much from like person to person, like, because on one hand we should reject bad association, but on the other hand we should like in a woman body one has to be conscious of like not like how to say, like not to be too this and that, like changing people in these like this is what I've been told. And so in this case it's like very nice that actually you praised her for for like leaving her husband and her father, but for bhakti. So for like that, even this characteristic of changing from place to place or person to person, that it's actually can be beneficial for bhakti. That was nice. Sorry for my neophyteness.
No, it's an interesting thing. The word Uma. Do you know what who Uma is? Uma is a name
Yes,
for Parvati.
yes.
So why does she have that name? It's a very beautiful explanation. The word Uma means oh no. And the word Uma
Ah,
was given to her by her mother because Parvati, she decided she was going to do austerities and give up the comfortable house and things of her father. And she was going to do austerities to get Lord Shiva as her husband. And then her mother, when she heard that, she said, Uma, Uma, oh no, oh no. And so she became known like that. And so we have this lady too here, Uma Bhattayayani, who was a princess, but she gave up everything. And so your comment also reminded me of something from the Bhakti Sandarbha. Jiva Goswami, when he speaks about Hari Katha, he says that in the beginning, we may hear from many different persons. And that's the Hare Krishna movement, right? We've got YouTube and there's so many different preachers there. We've got Bhagavatam classes. We go to Vrindavan and Mayapur and there's someone different giving class every day. And wow, we're hearing so much. And it's wonderful to hear. But Jiva Goswami explains that after some time, we'll naturally be inspired to be focused on hearing more from one person. And he says it's not just, for some people, it may be because of informational content. They know a lot of information and they want to get information. If that's your goal, then you'll go for that. But generally, we want to hear focus from one person because we like their heart. We want what's in their heart. And we focus and we hear primarily from them. We don't only hear from them. We may hear from different persons, but also hearing from different persons may make us confused. And Srila Prabhupada even told that Maharaj Mukunda Prabhu at the time, where he, what happened? Sorry. Where he, Mukunda asked Srila Prabhupada, you're going to leave, you're going back to India. Should we go and hear from one of your god brothers? Now, what's wrong with hearing from one of his god brothers? And the same thing, it's like in ISKCON, we have so many god brothers, so many devotees. We're all followers of Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada's god brothers are all followers of Srila Bhakti-siddhanta. But Prabhupada said no. And he explained, if they say even one word different from what I'm saying, then you'll become very confused. Now, we can expect, of course, they'll say some word different. Of course, that's because we all have different perspectives of Krishna consciousness. But that's why we primarily like to hear from one person. It doesn't mean that only this one person is right and everybody else is wrong. Amar Guru, Jagat Guru. Only my guru is good and everybody else is bogus. That's the attitude of a neophyte also. But as Srila Prabhupada said in that purport we were reading from Vyavasayatmika Buddhi, the guru understands the heart of the disciple. And we want to hear from that person who knows me. We want to hear from sadhus who understand us and appreciate us and can give us good advice. Otherwise, we hear other things, we may become very, very confused. And even very frankly, I'll say that I see sometimes it goes on in Bhagavatam classes in ISKCON. Maybe it's happened to you. Sometimes we attend, one of my god sisters wrote me a series of messages a few days ago. Oh my God, this senior devotee came to the manor and they were saying this and what do I do? And I said, well, maybe you shouldn't go to that class. Maybe you become confused. Once my Guru Maharaj, actually not once, but many times, I was his personal servant for a little while. And I saw the number one question that was asked to him again and again and again, every place he went to practically, Maharaj, what do we do? Do we have to go to Bhagavatam class? Because sometimes we go to Bhagavatam class and someone says something really weird, really confusing in that. And he would always give basically the same answer that no, you go because it's going to create a sangha for us. But when you go, you hear the verse. At least you hear the verse and the purport, and maybe they're quoting some verses. And Guru Maharaj, he told a story about this one sannyasi, Gaudiya Mutt sannyasi or something, who liked my Guru Maharaj. And my Guru Maharaj took him to ISKCON Mayapur. And they went and attended a Bhagavatam class. For a few days, they were attending class. And he saw that this sannyasi, this Gaudiya Mutt sannyasi, who didn't speak a word of English, was sitting in the class, very excited, smiling, nodding his head up and down, looking very, very happy. And my Guru Maharaj asked him, he said, why do you look so happy for? You don't understand English. And he said, no, I don't, but I understand the verses they're quoting. And he would hear some Sanskrit verse and that would get him excited. So Guru Maharaj said that we can do like that. When we go to the class, sometimes someone says something which is not so perfect. Maybe their understanding is half cooked. They're in the hospital. They're in the shower. They're going along. We love them. We're not interested in just fighting with everybody, nor is it my business to try to go and smash everybody and establish a real Siddhanta, because who am I? But if they say something I may not agree with, I just kind of, but I heard the verse. I heard Prabhupada's purport. That's good. And that'll help us to create a Sangha. Is that helpful, Dorothea?
Yes, Prabhu, thank you.
Where are you sitting right now? It looks like you're in a sauna or something.
I'm back in Germany with in my parents' home because I have to apply for a passport to go to India, and yeah.
Wow. When are you going to India? For Kartik?
No, it's next year in February or at the end of January.
I hope you come and visit us in Jagannath Puri. We'll give you some prasadam if you do.
I hope you will be there already at that time.
I hope so too. I really hope so. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, everything. Hare Krishna. Anybody else want to share any realizations you had, any thoughts? Gorni Thai Prabhu's got his hand up. Prabhuji?
Hare Krishna. I like very much two things which you mentioned. One is the krama means the step-by-step advancing, the step-by-step trying to learn Krishna Bhakti. Another one is when you mentioned that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in the person of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the archer became the target. So I put together these two things a few months ago, and I started to really focus, as you mentioned, the third point, on Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's personality, history, pastimes. And I found that it's like it's fulfilling all what you mentioned, that if you, so many topics we can speak about Krishna, but if you choose the main topic as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and you offer it to other devotees, you can relate to the same person. And in that same person, we find everything. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, we find Srimad Bhagavatam, we find Bhagavad Gita, everything. So I find it very enlivening or very enthusiastic when I put this together to my personal life. I don't say others should follow, but when I discussed about this method, my sadhana became very, very simple, but very clear. And I heard that also Indra Prabhu mentioned that to someone that, yeah, first you have to worship Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you have to know Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and then you can know Krishna and other higher topics. So that's my.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And the only way to know Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is through Guru Gauranga, through our Gurudev. And then we'll meet our Gurudev and we'll meet Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu again, just as Ramananda Roy met Mahaprabhu. But then Mahaprabhu manifested, he saw them as Radha and Krishna. And we'll meet our Gurudev again also in the Sakhi Manjari form like that. Which is a point also Narottam's making here today. Thank you, Prabhuji. Anything else you want to share?
That you mentioned that sadhu sangha is very important. And also there is a Bhagavatam class at morning. You know, not every Bhagavatam class becomes like sadhu sangha. So that's definitely need other sanghas. But I found also that devotee, not all devotees knows how to create a sadhu sangha mood. So they bring together devotees and they give their own ideas. And of course, they accept it because at least we are together. But I have to learn also, as you said, in that 11 chapters, 11 cantos Bhagavatam verse, we have to learn. And we have to help others to understand what will create sadhu sangha, real sadhu sangha. Can you comment that?
Yeah, I go to Bhagavatam class, even if, I mean, honestly, there's been a few times when someone's given class and I heard their name ahead of time and I just decided, well, maybe I have some other things that's really important that I have to do, and I avoided it because it was just to be really brutally honest. There's some persons who really I don't feel comfortable with at all. And so I would avoid that. But in general, even if I don't agree with everybody, I go to class. Why do I go to class? Not just because I'm going to benefit by the person speaking, but because I'm supporting Srila Prabhupada's program. I'm supporting, this is Prabhupada's ISKCON program. And it's a very important way to support the temple. And when people see that I'm coming, when people see, it's so wonderful in Mayapur when you have all the sannyasis and the senior devotees all there together. When you have senior people coming, it really creates an impression that they're telling the younger devotees that this Krishna Katha is really important. And therefore, we should all come and hear, even though they may be much more senior than some of the junior persons. And that really creates a sangha. I know it's difficult sometimes to do that. We have services and things, but to be a little brutal, Jiva Goswami in his Laghu Vaishnava Toshani, he comments in one verse that the reason why people don't attend Krishna Katha is because they're concerned about making money. Or we can see sometimes they're concerned about management things, which is connected with money usually. I have to do this and that. And then it takes away some of the wonder, some of the causeless wonder of Krishna consciousness. Krishna Katha is such a wonderful thing. We just come together for no reason, just to hear. We're not going to make money. We're not going to get, a lot of information, but we're just coming just to hear and chant together. And that's such an important thing. But when we change it and we say, oh, we're not going to have Bhagavatam class today, we're going to have an Istagosti, and we're going to talk about, how we're going to keep the ashram clean, and how this person, that person, and we do management stuff, then it gives another message. And the message is that the management stuff is really important. And it takes away from the wonder, the causeless wonder of Krishna consciousness and Krishna bhakti. It's such an important thing. I resolved recently on Padayatra that I'm going to start speaking about this quite often now, about the importance of coming together and hearing Krishna Katha every day. Because it's something I see lacking in many places in our society. So many good things going on. Devotees are doing so many wonderful things, making buildings and book distribution, and this thing and that thing. But if there's no joint Krishna Katha together, then their hearts don't come together, and there's problems and things, and the circus, the parade stops after a while. Is that helpful, Gwani Prabhu? Oh, good to see you. Your health is okay?
I'm 70.
That means no.
Yeah, that means yes. I'm doing yoga every day today, from a few days. Bhakti-Vigyan Goswami is here, and he created a yoga group. Just beautiful.
He told me he has some really fantastic yoga teacher. I'm so sorry that I was supposed to do right now. Actually, I was supposed to be in Ukraine with Bhakti Vigyan Maharaj, but because of the war and the progress that the Russians have made over the last few weeks, it was decided it was too dangerous to do a program like that. So I'm really disappointed. Anyway, please offer my pranams to Maharaj if you get a chance to see him. Thank you, Gwani Prabhu. Anybody else want to share anything? Madhupati Prabhu, did you raise your hand? Okay. Orsi, we got another. This is the Hungarian mafia today. Orsi, go ahead. And then Leela Purushottam Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, thank you very much. My heart is touched, and I really liked a lot of things. For example, that bhakti comes from bhakti. It's such an important thing, which cannot be emphasized enough. And by this, I would ask that how we know when times come for such renunciation.
Who is the ultimate example of renunciation for us?
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Yes, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the six Goswamis. But what is their renunciation? Their renunciation is following some young teenage girls, the gopis. So our ideal of renunciation is the gopis. And in fact, the sannyas mantra in our line is it's a very simple mantra. I'm not going to share it with everybody here. I'm not qualified either. But the sannyas mantra in our line is to meditate on oneself as a gopi. It's a gopi mantra. So our renunciation is not that we just wake up one morning and decide, damn, yeah, I'm going to give it up. I'm going to give up television. I'm going to give up this thing and give up that thing. And I'm going to be a hardcore guy. That's not our program. Our program is renunciation. The gopis. It's not that the gopis decided one day that I want to be renounced. It wasn't a conscious decision on their part, but their renunciation was a natural manifestation of their feelings for Krishna. That's the renunciation in Gaudiya Vaishnavism. That's the renunciation of Raghunath Das Goswami. It's not artificial. It's just something very sweet and very natural as a result of bhakti. Bhakti comes from bhakti. Bhakti does not come from renunciation. From renunciation, we'll get more renunciation. But when someone is very, very attached to Krishna, then renunciation comes automatically. But that renunciation is not really renunciation, it's just a manifestation of bhakti. For example, someone can be focused or celibate as a purpose of cultivating renunciation. But the same person, when they're in love with a girl, or the girl's in love with a boy, they give up all their other girlfriends and boyfriends, and they become focused on one person, naturally out of love, not just that they decide, well, I'm gonna do like this. It's a natural thing. So that renunciation in bhakti is a natural type of renunciation. It's not our goal. Is that helpful? Okay.
Yes, I will think on that. I understand. I understand. I just okay. I will meditate on it.
Sometimes it takes a long time to digest things. I remember that I give a kata. It's kind of a real postgraduate kata about Lalita Madhav sometimes. I haven't done it in a while, but Krishna Kun probably heard that kata 20 times or something. And after the 20th time she came in and she said, now I'm starting to get it. I'm starting to understand it. And she heard so many times. It takes some time to digest things sometimes. Okay, let me read a few comments we've got here from Bhaktin Bani. It's really nice, Bani, that you're here. Thank you. Are you still here present today? Yeah, she's still here.
Dandavat pranams.
Pranams to you. Why do some devotees preach veganism when Prabhupada said we must take X amount of milk every day? Also, they claim that if we try very hard, we can get milk from protected cows. In my experience of reality, I have been to about 15 to 17 different Krishna temples, and there's literally nowhere to buy such a thing that I have ever seen. All of the temples use milk from the stores, and we understand the cows get benefit from this. Isn't it cruel then to be vegan, as those cows are bound for slaughter regardless of what we do? 90% of the world eats meat, and we can offer them benefit. Well, this is a controversial thing, and it's not a primary thing, it's a secondary thing. Primary thing is that we should be vegetarian, and we should offer our food to Krishna. The secondary thing is these kind of matters. And I'll give you an amazing example of Hungary. And when I came here some years ago, I was shocked to see, I felt hurt, to be really honest with you, when I saw that Dalnitai Vijay Garanga, they were not giving them milk products. They were making sweet rice out of almonds. Now they get, I know Madhupati, now they get, but we're getting to that point. But for a long time, they were not getting any milk products. And I was like, oh my God, how can you not offer milk products to Gornitai? It's just terrible. And then I understood that the strategy that Srila Shiva Ramaraj is giving, because he saw a laziness in the devotees, a complacency that, well, anyway, we've got store-bought milk, so we don't really have to take care of the cows. It's not so important that we have this, that we have bhakti milk or milk from protected cows, but it is very important. But there's a kind of laziness oftentimes with devotees that I'll just go to the store and get this or that. And I agree with your point personally. It's a personal factor, but just between you and I'm personally with you. I'm not into vegan things either. I take store-bought milk. Srila Prabhupada did that. Even Prabhupada told the devotees you can take it with vitamin D fish oil in it, but because Krishna should have some milk. And Prabhupada said to overlook that. However, I can also see Shiva Ramaraj's point. And what happened here in Hungary, he made a rule, no milk unless it's from our cows, protected milk. And it took, I don't know, Madhupati could tell the history, I think. It took a year or two, it took some time. And during that time, they were offering almond sweet rice, almond milk and things. But after some time now, they have milk regularly for all the deities here in Hungary, which speak in New Brajadam. The devotees got it together because all the devotees really like milk. And so when Shiva Rama said, no milk except from protected from our cows, then they got it together. And honestly, without that kick in the butt from Shiva Ramaraj, I don't think they would have gotten it together. So I agree with your point, and I very much agree too. I don't like it when devotees, I personally don't like it when devotees feel the necessity to promote veganism. And that's something I haven't personally seen Shiva Maharaj do. I haven't heard him preaching about being vegan or anything. But he doesn't take outside milk from cows. And then I know a number of devotees like that. And he only takes milk from protected cows. And part of his reason for doing that is because he's a leader in the society. And he sees that unless we kick their butt, people, the devotees are not going to, they're not going to get off their, they're going to be lazy and they're not going to do it. Okay, so let me go on a little bit here now. Is that okay, Ronnie? It's a great point. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Lila Purushottam comments, you will not fully understand Chaitanya Mahaprabhu without understanding where his internal desire for that form and mood sprouts from. Yes, we should understand Gora Tattva. It's very, very important. Back to Gorni Taipa, we made some other comments. How to really understand Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is a deep topic. My point is that first focus on him, and by his mercy, you can go deeper to Krishna Katha and Braj. Krishna Krama to choose topic to put in focus. After many years of meditation on it, not only Dwell Nitai got million milk from Krishna Valley, but devotees in the congregation can have a few liters a week also. It's a wonderful thing. And it's a wonderful example. There's in America, in Gita Nagari, they have some milk from the cows. I heard Tripurai Maharaj, who's a little outside of ISKCON, has milk from protected cows in their farm in California, Northern California, and probably there's a few other places. I know in Mumbai, the Mumbai temple finally just purchased a whole farm. And there's a few brahmacharis out there and things. And the whole purpose of the farm is to grow vegetables for the deities, for Radha Rasa Bihari, and to provide milk, nice milk for the deities. That's a beautiful thing. It's a lot of work. Honestly speaking, for our movement, for most of us, just following 4 regulated principles, Prabhu, and doing book distribution, that's and keeping the temple clean and paying the bills, that's a major thing for us. And then if you want to try to tell me that I can't take milk from the store, devotees freak out. They can't deal with that. But we should be progressive. We should start taking care of the cows. It's a great, I'll tell you, Mother Gorni Tai Prabhu could say more about it. When you go to New Brajadam, one of the first things we do is we go visit the cows. And the cows are so wonderful. There's a difference between A1 and A2 milk. You can Google that thing. A2 milk comes from cows which have not been genetically changed in that, like the Western cows. That Western milk, that A1 milk, is very difficult to digest for a lot of people. And therefore, there's a growing movement of A2 milk. A2 milk comes from traditional breeds of cows, like you have in India, but also you have in Hungary and other different places. And the cows here, they're traditional Hungarian cows, which is perfect because I see sometimes devotees, they import some Brahma cows or something from India, and those cows have a real hard time in the winter in Europe that they can't relate to. But these Hungarian cows, it's natural for them. And their milk is A2 milk. Right? Little shout out for the cows. Is that okay, Gorni Tai? All right. Because milk means love. Milk is not just something but the mother gives milk to the baby out of love. And when we try to force that, it's a very painful thing. If you take the baby away from the mother and you force the mother to give milk, that milk is consciousness. It's personified love, it's personified consciousness. And you take the baby away from the mother, then all kinds of toxins come in there in the form of anxiety and stress. Where's my baby? Where's my baby? And that's why a lot of devotees appreciate protected milk. I also appreciate it. We try to get that whenever we can, but I'm not always able. Today's Bhagavatam class in New Brajadam was 3:25:25. Wow, that's far out. Madhupati Bu comments, before devotees get shocked, this policy of no hingsa milk is not compulsory. It's recommended, but not compulsory. But it's compulsory, I think, for the deities, isn't it? Yeah. But it's not, and I know, I won't say names. It might even be Madhupati Prabhu, but there's a few devotees who take outside milk and outside cheese, including myself. But in the temple, Shri Shivaram, she stressed that for the deities, for their service, we should have protected milk. And it's such a wonderful standard. Okay. Anybody else want to make any comments, reflections? Leela Purushottam, you had your hand up earlier. You want to share something? I'm really glad you could be with us today.
Yeah, B and B. It was. I will have to listen to Kata again.
This week we had the right verse at least, okay?
And even that I missed actually. It came later. No, I wanted to contribute to discussion on Gaura first and Krishna then to Dharmikai Prabhu with my memories with Indra Prabhu. Once he was in his room roasting me. Like, did you read this? I said, oh, no. Did you read that? Not yet. and then we came, like, I capitulated and I told him that I didn't finish Bhagavatam yet, actually. But I told him, but I'm really attracted to just jump over and read Chaitanya Charitamrita because I'm so attracted to Chaitanya Charitamrita. And he was thinking for a while, pausing, and he said, that's okay, actually. because anyway, without understanding Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you will not be able to understand Radha Krishna pastimes in Vrindavan. And then he again paused, and then he said, but it's same the vice versa, that you will not be able to fully understand Chaitanya Mahaprabhu without first hearing about Vrindavan pastimes. So you can do both as you like. If you're attracted to Chaitanya Charitamrita, read Chaitanya Charitamrita first, and then you return to Bhagavad. That was his advice.
My Guru Maharaj once said, if you want to understand Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you have to understand Radharani. So that's supporting what Andrew Prabhu was saying. You know, if you don't understand Radharani, how are you going to understand Chaitanya Mahaprabhu?
And to inspire Bani Mataji for our upcoming Bhakti Sangha festival, for all the 250 devotees, we will use only Bhakti milk.
Wow.
For the whole festival.
Wow. Where are you getting that from?
From Czech Farm. It's not so far. It's like 50, 60 kilometers away. And daily we will be driving there for 100 liters of milk.
Wow. All glories. All glories. And you should make some announcements about that. And then the devotees appreciate the cows, appreciate the devotees for milking them. And
you can't imagine how difficult it was to convince the cooks, actually.
I can imagine.
to not use the commercial milk. Because it will be more complicated. Like, you have to process it, you have to boil it down, you have to collect the cream, you have to turn it into yogurt and all these things. So it's some service extra, but it's worthy, I guess. I hope.
Wow. Wow, that's really something to talk about, you know, and propagate. Gorni Taipa makes a great comment here, line 2. He says, without understanding how to protect cows, give them a free place to wander as they like, play with them, etc., we cannot start Vanashram, the 6th purport of ISKCON. You know, one thing I'd like to see more amongst the cows, I watch some of those cute animal videos sometimes on Facebook, and they have some with cows, and cows really like to play. And it's one thing, I did it for, in Mayapur, we have a friend who has the Nandi sanctuary for the bulls. And I got some, Gorni time, maybe you've been there and visited, it's right across the street from you practically. And I brought him a big ball for the bulls. And they're like little kids. They like it so much to be able to play with the ball and that. It's just a really nice thing. I don't see that too often in this kind. I'd like to see it more. All right. Okay, anybody else want to share anything more? Lila Purushottam, you want to add anything else?
No, just wanted to tell you.
Okay. So Bonnie, are you going to come to check for the retreat? It's all bhakti milk. Did you hear that?
Sounds good. If Krishna sends me the ticket, I'll go.
All right. You never know. Krishna acts in
He might.
mysterious ways. He might do it.
We're waiting for you, Mataji.
I'm all for it. I'm all for it.
All right. We'll be in ecstasy if I see you there. Hare Krishna. Okay. Anybody else with anything? All right. So we'll go ahead and stop there. Thank you all very much. Next week, I don't know what's going to happen because I'm going to be under the control of Leela Purushottam Prabhu, and it's kind of scary. And the devotees at the Czech retreat. Next Wednesday will be the retreat, Leela? I think so.
Yes, it will be.
Okay.
Will be, but time-wise, I guess it could work. I don't know if energy-wise for you or attention to the devotees there for you, it's going to work. But
stay tuned. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
I really, Dorothea made a comment that Madhupati Prabhu, Bonnie lives in America. You can't buy a train ticket for her to come. Madhupati Prabhu, we have such a heart. Ujjwala Rasiga is here. Haribol. Nice to see you. Dorothea made this really great comment. You know, I feel a little bad that I didn't really speak more about this verse from Brihad Bhagavatamrita. Wow, what a verse from Brihad Bhagavatamrita. But I want to make another little comment on it anyway that I didn't really touch on, which Dorothea kind of brings out. She says, if only one could become overburdened by this pain and agony that makes Nam Sankirtan arise, as mentioned in Brihad Bhagavatamrita. So there is a purpose to suffering. And therefore, Kunti Devi, in that same 8th chapter, the 1st canto, she says, Vipadasham Jigabhiro. Let me have the problems again and again and again, because those problems help me to cry out to you. That's the purpose of them. So when these miseries and difficulties and things come, we devotees accept it. Tatenu kampam susamikshimano. I deserve this. And they use that to cry out to Krishna more. Because that crying and that focus, that intense focus, that's really bhakti. Bhakti yoga, bhakti yoga, bhakti yoga, dana bhakti, Krishna nama smarana krandana. The bhakti means with emotion. Bhakti yoga is the topmost thing. But bhakti means smarana krandana, means remembering Krishna and crying to Krishna. Ujjwala Rasiga comments, I'm glad I could hear from you and be with you at least for some time. It's valuable. Oh, Ujjwala Rasiga, we miss your association. It was really sweet when you came to spend a little while with us in India, in Jagannath Puri. And we don't see you so much these days. Your comments are always really, really good. I appreciate everybody here so much. And it's very nice, Madhupati Prabhu, thank you. Madhupati Prabhu is an old fossil like me. He's actually older than me. I'm a young guy compared to him. But it's nice to be with older, mature devotees who have a real heart. Madhupati Prabhu is really, he's Madhupati, he's the Lord of sweetness, servant to the Lord of sweetness. Okay. All right, so we'll go ahead and stop there. Then we'll see what happens next week. I can't promise, but we'll keep everybody informed. I definitely want to keep going with this on a regular basis. Thank you all very much. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Can the Sangha be on Fridays? Okay, that's another discussion. We can bring that up in the chat, in our WhatsApp chat, and see, maybe we could do that. Friday would probably be okay for me. Friday is sometimes a little troublesome because we give classes if we're traveling, but in general, we're not doing that so much lately. It might be possible. Okay. Vancha kalpatarubhischa kripa sindhu bhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha nandakoti vaishnava brinda ki jai. Oh, Bonnie's typing in something. I can't turn it off yet. She said, I found this change by accident. She's typing in something. Go ahead, Bonnie, and then we'll finish.
I'll say Hare Krishna probably a little bit quicker if I speak it. Is that okay?
Okay. Yeah, sure.
So I was saying I didn't know what happened to the Zoom, and then I saw the YouTube notification came up that you were live, and I just tried in and found you because I had not like when it changes, I think I'm missing out of your other group. But I only have the Bindu group.
Yeah, this is
So
a little more,
I hope
little
I
more
can
private.
be, if I can somehow know when there's a change, somehow one way or the other.
Well, are you part of our WhatsApp group? Or for
I used
Krishna?
to be years ago on a different number, but then it never got added over. When I got I get the Krishna Katamrita Bindu notice, but
Yeah,
I don't
okay.
get anything else
No,
anymore.
this is a separate thing because I want to have something that's a little more private, a little more sweet. And that's what we're doing. Otherwise, I can't survive. If I forget, because I'm very absent-minded, please don't hesitate to remind me. Just write to me. You can write me on Facebook. You can write me on WhatsApp, and just tell me,
Okay.
and I'll add you. I can add you in just a couple of minutes.
I'll send you a message. Hare Krishna.
Okay. Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you.
Anshakapalita Vishakripa Sindhu